Hi, my little beep Frau Milches, and welcome. Welcome et bienvenue. Welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. Cabaret to cabaret. Somehow a fat Jewish MC in cabaret would just not be as appealing, you know?
As opposed to a chunky Italian chick.
Yeah, I mean, at least Joel
Or
Gray
half Italian chick.
I mean, what kind of a mime would I be? You know?
Marcel Marceau, you are not.
Actually, Steven could be a great mime.
Oh, boy.
All right. Hey, how's everybody doing out there? We got all kinds of fun stuff to talk about today. More in the world of sports, but I did want to. I was just figuring out how to use this, and just wanting to show people what what we're living through right now, and this is kind of what we're living through right now. And I don't know what to tell you about this, except what a thorough embarrassment. And his people just must
Anti-cancel culture is a thorough embarrassment. I would say the assholes who want to cancel Goya are the embarrassment. Especially one
Goya.
Chelsea Handler, a Jewish sow, holding a can of Rosarita. No, that's not racist at all against Mexican people.
Boy,
Go fuck yourself.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't have anything against Goya products. I've actually eaten them before. It's just that when you call people, rapists, and you build a wall to keep them out of your country.
But the owner is from Spain. Immigrated properly.
It doesn't matter. You know what he's doing. Texas is too close. But at any rate, it's embarrassing. The President of the United States shouldn't be endorsing products. It's really beneath the office. And you and I will never see anything that's anti-Trump. You will not see. But it's just embarrassing. But
I see anti-Trump shit every goddamn day.
Yeah,
I just enjoy taking a giant fucking claymore and cleaving its fucking head off.
Well, I love this. This is my favorite headline of the day. All right, if you, the last thing that Donald Trump was retweeting was Chuck Woolery. Yeah, I know. It's really tough. It's a tough world when you're quoting former game show hosts and retweeting their tweets that, well, everyone's lying to us about COVID. Unfortunately, Chuck Woolery's son got COVID. And as a result, and this is...
Because they're lying about the numbers does not mean that the disease does not exist. Clearly.
Need I say more? Need I say more? Punishment and justice is meted out by this dark piece of vinyl. And, he couldn't give it to Woolery himself, but, his aim isn't good,
well,
folks.
goddammit, he's trying to fucking kill Ruth Bader Ginsburg for the 84th time. Maybe
that's right.
His
aim isn't necessarily good, but, he's on
if he could
wipe out
if he could wipe out about 7 others on the fucking court, that would be fucking fantastic.
Yeah, look at that. He's peering into your soul. Black Cow of Death makes a rare appearance on the program.
I'm a conservative white male. Supposedly, I don't have one.
What, a Black Cow of Death?
No, a soul.
Oh.
According to the outrage mob.
Well, let's put it this way. I would not want you to be singing Luther Vandross to me. That's as far as I'll go with that.
I think you're marketing.
Personally, I would like to hear that. I think that could be.
That's that line.
Oh Jesus! I would have to find a Luther Vandross song.
That's that line in the sand you simply can't cross.
It would be like this: the white accountant version. If I could dance with my father again. Right.
And no, it would be, honestly, it would probably sound more like Brian Williams from AC/DC trying to sing Luther Vandross.
God, I mean, that guy, I can't imagine. I mean, poor guy can't sing anymore, but you know why. I mean, that's just, the shrieking that guy did for how many years? How do people do that?
He's got the same problem that Huey Lewis has, where his ears are gone.
Oh,
His
really?
hearing is gone.
His
Yeah,
hearing
that's
is
why he had to
shot.
quit.
I mean, he
It-
started in AC/DC in 1980, so let's, and their last album was 2015, so there's 35 years of pure screech.
Yeah, I mean, and Huey Lewis, that's really sad. Yes, it's true.
And
And then
and
the
it
news
hit him
goes,
right in the middle.
yes, it's true. He goes, I'm not hearing you guys. I'm not hearing you guys.
Well, actually, he was 3 keys too low when he tried to sing, and he said it was the worst show he'd ever done
Who,
in
Huey
the
Lewis?
interview. Yes,
Oh, that's
it
really
happened to him
sad.
right in the middle of a fucking show.
Well, it's hip to be square, you know.
Not to be deaf.
Somehow they managed to make the last album, which is called Weather. So
All right. Well, again, I don't know if people are finding the program today. It's right up on,
supposedly we have 7 people watching, which includes the 4 of us. So
So
we
still
have 3
outnumbered the
listeners
crowd.
who are anonymous.
Yeah.
Hello, anonymous people.
One thing I can tell you, that more signs indicating that this whole thing of sports may not really take off. The SEC has announced that athletes will be allowed out of fall seasons and retain all of their scholarships. Now, I don't know about, I could say what I want to say. Rick, I mean, what does this tell you?
Well, each conference having their own commissioner, I think everybody's trying to just go with their own set of rules. There was talk about having, I guess someone spoke up about possibly having a commissioner for all of college football. And I just can't see all these commissioners saying, yeah, that's what I need, a boss. So
Well, the thing I don't understand is then why would you play? I mean, realistically, take the odds of getting sick, the odds of the season being disrupted, the odds of, and then the fact that there is absolutely no punishment if you don't. You could just start anew next year with, so you're 1 year away from playing pro ball, and there's no real confirmation that pro ball is going to be played this year. So really I guess the way I look at this is it's like the ultimate side door escape, What do you think, Brian? I mean, is this like saying to people, hey, this is a real option for you now?
Yeah, I still think that there's going to be professional football. I doubt that there's going to be as much, or at least in the fall and winter, for college football. We'll see with college baseball next spring, but and basketball.
And hi to Crembley Q. Nice to see you in the chat. And also, of course, always Amsterdam.
By the way, there's more people watching this show than watching Tiger Woods live.
Well, Tiger Woods really had a bad day on the course. I mean, we'll talk about him in just a minute because that's actually a live sporting event that is actually going on. Though probably not much longer for Tiger after today's round. Yeah, West Palm is one of the top 100 most dangerous cities because,
Phoenix did not make the list. I was shocked.
yeah, well,
you guys just aren't trying, I guess. Huh?
West Palm, it's all the false teeth. I mean, no, it's
you want to wax a job?
It's silent covidity. Yeah, that's what this is. But yeah, more Florida stuff isn't really a lot of fun. The NFL is also dampening some enthusiasm as well. And, they're preaching caution as the NFL training camps are set to start on time. Now, Here's the thing that scares me. The players, following a Thursday night conference call with several team physicians, are aware that a delay in the start of camps is unlikely. They're going to get going. The key now, according to the Players Association, is to figure out the best way to practice and play football with COVID. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean,
Well, and the
it's,
problem is they're still not going any higher than 75 people for the entire facility.
yeah, I mean, look, they're doing what they can. Now, our center, J.C. Treader, who's, a big player in the NFLPA, here's his quote.
He's the president.
Yes, yeah, he's the
Head
man.
honcho there.
Yeah, we've had coaches say that the health and safety protocols are simply too much to ask. Coaches coming forward and saying, everyone's going to get sick, so we might as well all get sick together. Those attitudes can't happen. There are consequences to getting sick. You see, and this is the real division in this country, in my mind.
I think this is really going to hit some of the ex-players that are now coaches harder than somebody else.
Well, I mean, and
because of the wear and tear on their systems.
Yeah.
We can guess who it's going to get and who it's not going to get. But, the thing that's scary about it is this is what we're seeing not just in sports, but overall. It's like this feeling of, well, fuck it. We're going to send everyone back to what they were doing. Everyone's going to get it. Everyone's going to get it. That's just what we've decided to do because we're Americans. And it's not sane. It is not a smart approach.
All right. How many communicable diseases go through schools? Chickenpox, mumps, measles, you name it. Yep. The flu, the basic flu that knocks kids out for a week.
Yep.
The world keeps spinning on its axis. The sun keeps rising in the east and setting in the west.
Every teacher is getting a flu shot. And that, in some instances, will protect upwards of 50 to 70% of the people.
Read those labels, kids.
Well, I'm just saying that there is some protection for teachers in a normal classroom situation. There is no safe place, and I think this is where the argument kind of commences. The Players Association realizes, it's like Treader said, look, I'm a center, It's like, and they call it a center because he's in the center of everything and in close proximity.
To at least 4 players and on every snap.
Yep. And you don't know. I mean, this is the ultimate have your buddies back thing. You really don't know how serious some of these players are about maintaining the protocol. And, I was reading, Dwight Howard got busted in the NBA protocol for simply...
Yeah, he was being a fucking dummy, though.
You know something? No, because there was something in that story that I thought was way more interesting than just the fact that he had done something stupid. In the article it stated, and I was looking for the exact words, but I mean, I guess I'll have to paraphrase because this thing just disappeared on me, that they are referring to the observation as the snitch, and the players have already taken a counter position to those people who are, and to measures that are making sure that people do what they're supposed to do. In a crowded place where he was readily visible, he was not wearing a mask, and he felt he got, quote, narked out, and that the players behind everyone, amongst themselves, are referring to it as like the snitch. And that is the scary part of the story. If there is at all even a 20% group of athletes who are just not buying into this and who just are like, we've lived so well, so long, that nothing's going to hurt us, and we're millionaires, and we're past this, then people like J.C. Treader, who are doing everything they can to remain safe, end up in the middle of a field. And if one of those guys is out there on the field doing their thing because they were resistant to, or if the NBA, one guy or two guys were resistant, you're going to have a problem. And, the thing that's scary about this is I'm all for them trying. But everything that I'm witnessing here in Florida would suggest that the timing is really bad, because we had 11,000 plus more cases in Florida today. And we are the epicenter of this. And as New York City found out, it doesn't go away real quickly. I mean, the designation of being the epicenter doesn't just fly away. And that's right, Amsterdam, right. I'm concerned. And I don't believe that it's impossible. I think that it's as good as it is enforceable. If people, it's no different than your child at home. If your child wants to get into trouble, in the house, it's almost impossible to keep somebody under your thumb for 24/7. And it's like Topaz here. He chews the rug behind my back, and I can't really, I can't keep an eye on him 24/7. If the people involved in this whole thing are not serious about doing what they're supposed to do, all the plans of the bubble, or whatever it is that the NFL's calling it, of the safety and precautions, they mean nothing if the players don't do what they're supposed to do. So, I feel, and I hate feeling this way, but I have a feeling that there's going to be players and there will be a backlash about this, because they're privileged and they live with their privilege, and they're not going to just give it up. And that's part of this whole issue. And it's not just Republicans. I mean, the athletes are really privileged people. I mean, not many people who are just millionaires, who just walking around and, and who are negotiating big contracts. And some of those people just, it was like the James Harden story today. It was crazy. I mean, he wears a mask, right? And puts it up on Instagram, and it's the Thin Blue Line mask. And he didn't even know what the fuck it was. Somebody probably sneaked it in on him, and he throws on the Thin Blue Line mask, which is the Blue Lives Matter mask, which is in response to the BLM cause. And here's James Harden wearing it. And they said to him, dude, do you know what that means when you put that up on Instagram? And his response was, no, I just thought it looked good. Which is probably the truth. You didn't have the foggiest notion what the connotation was. But in this world today, it's crazy. I mean, you can't do one thing or another without, there's a significance attached to it. And these world-class athletes, if they think they're being snitched on, they're on camera all the time. I mean, look at, all of the examples.
And a lot of the time, they're filming them fucking selves.
Yeah. I mean, and they're throwing themselves out on Instagram and saying all kinds of things like the world is flat and all kinds of bizarre shit, and they're proud of it, and there's just stupidity coming out of their mouths. The thing that I'm seeing, and I'm wondering if the NFL is trying to get Daniel Snyder out of Washington. I mean, there's too many concurrent stories now, And I mentioned this on the last program when I talked about how quietly 3 of the minority owners, when I say minority owners, I'm not referring to race so that people don't
Percentages.
get the right.
Yeah,
Right. We're talking
percentages.
about percentage ownerships. That 3 of his minority partners walked away and wanted to sell, just walk away. And I found that strange because 3 people who are minority investors do not at the same time just walk out the door. That doesn't happen. Not without them communicating and their attorneys communicating. Now we've got something, more. 15 women are saying they were sexually harassed while they were employees of Washington's NFL team.
Did you mention that the voice of the Redskins also quietly resigned?
That's exactly right. That's it. And
So
he's been at the team
it's
for
not
14
just
years.
It's not just front office people. It's a lot. It goes way deeper.
And it makes you wonder. Yeah, and none of us were particularly fond of Daniel Snyder, but these accusations from 2006 through 2019, including some members of owner Dan Snyder's inner circle. Now we're hearing. I mean, this makes Jimmy Haslam ripping off truckers and trucking companies small potatoes in today's environment. Will Hobson and Liz Clark of the Washington Post spoke to 15 women, 14 of whom remained anonymous over fear of retribution. Emily Applegate, who began working with the team in 2014, said she and a coworker would meet every day to commiserate and cry about the frequent sexual harassment and verbal abuse that they endured. Snyder, for his part, declined several requests from the Post to provide a comment on the allegations. Then, instead, what we get, the team has retained an attorney, who's, of course, a female, Beth Wilkinson, to investigate the allegations in the organization's culture. And then Ron Rivera, he's got to be the happiest guy in the world. He's like, God, I thought I had it difficult with Cam. It's like,
Looking back fondly on it.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
Good times, good times.
Yeah. Having a good year and a bad year and a good year and a bad year in Carolina, that's awesome compared to this shit.
Hey, I'm sure at this point, I'm sure he wishes he had short-term memory loss, so he still thinks he's number 57 for the fucking Chicago Bears.
Now, I want to read
Let everything be Mike Dick's fucking problem.
Yeah, Brian, I think you should hear this. 7 former employees accused team radio announcer Larry Michael of misconduct, including making inappropriate, objectifying, and sexual comments. Michael abruptly resigned from his position this week. So there's that. Yeah, he's
Larry Michael. Okay.
Is he the play-by-play broadcaster for the?
Yes,
team,
he's the team radio announcer. Yeah. And,
he worked with. I want to say he worked with Theismann for a little while.
Yeah, okay. Alex Santos, the team's former director of pro personnel, was accused by 6 former employees and 2 reporters of making sexual advances or comments. The Athletic reporter Rhiannon Walker said Santos pinched her and said she had a, quote, an ass like a wagon. Now wait a minute. I'm going to go to my female co-host, Rox. I mean, if you were trying to say something that would like stimulate a woman, like, hey, baby, you got an ass like a wagon.
It reminds me of an episode of Martin when Pam said to Martin, "You really think I can't get a man with all this wagon I'm dragging?" And Martin says, "Choo choo."
I'd never heard it referred to as wagon before. Yeah, you see, this is why we have cross-cultural reference, because
if you need wheels for your ass, it's too big.
Well, no, I was thinking it was a flexible flyer.
Red Rider?
Or a Red Rider.
Red Radio?
There you go.
Radio flyer.
Radio flyer. There you go.
Radio flyers. That's what they were. Yeah. Mine was a sled that I said, right?
Rosebud.
Just don't ask where the handle is. It's
But I mean, so now you have the 15 women. You have the announcer getting the hell out of Dodge. And now you've got DJ Swearinger calling out the former Washington coach Jay Gruden. He last played for Gruden in 2018, and after the team lost 40-16 to the New York Giants late in 2018, in the text messages Swearinger shared, Gruden wrote to him, "Want to play? Let's fucking play. Where you want to meet? We can meet tonight or tomorrow." The way the story goes is that somebody told Gruden that Swearinger had said something about him, and when he really looked into it further, it turned out not to be true. But he threatened to fight his own player, and after that, Swearinger said, "How in the hell do you motivate yourself to play for a guy who talks to you like that?" Meanwhile, after the loss, December 9th, 2018, Swearinger said, "We just didn't execute." This was his explanation as to what happened. "We just didn't execute. We just didn't get the job done." He said, "That's the answer they want me to give." Now, he was released by Washington 2 weeks later, all right? He was critical of defensive coordinator Greg Minuski's play calling in the Week 16 loss to the Tennessee Titans. In a radio interview the day after...
That'll win you friends.
Yeah. I mean, the day after his release, in a radio interview, Swearinger said Gruden never offered an explanation as to why they cut him. 1 month after his release, Swearinger wrote a message on Instagram about Gruden. "That coach y'all have will never win big because it ain't him to coach discipline." Meanwhile, Swearinger was claimed off waivers by the Cardinals, and he played the first 4 games before being cut. So... and of course, Gruden, we know, he didn't have any better luck in Washington than anybody else did. And it's all of these stories coming out at once.
And I think he was cut from the Cardinals for off the field issues.
Oh, I mean, that may be the case. As for Snyder,
I don't think it was.
Yeah. As for Daniel Snyder, now he's realizing that somebody's turning the heat up on him, and so he's going a wee bit on the defensive front. He's vowing culture change amid these allegations. He is committed to improving the culture inside the team. Well, how could you not improve it if it's what these people are saying? It's crazy. The behavior described in yesterday's Post article has no place in our franchise or society, Snyder said in a statement Friday. And you know something? I know what I said 7 years ago, that we would never change our ability to sexually harass women. But, I guess 7 years later, never say never. This whole thing is going down.
It's the one thing they've done consistently.
Now, look at it this way. If you're a Washington fan and you're starting over with a new name and all this shit's going down, why not a new owner? I mean, honestly, this guy, I guess I've never understood this about professional sports. And I guess it is in its own bubble, if you will, as far as businesses are concerned. These owners can be the most incompetent people and people who are literally troubled and lose consistently. And as a business, I mean, you could only be looked at as a failure if you're Daniel Snyder, predicated on his record since he owned the team. No different than Haslam with the Browns. You can't see him any different than a hapless fool. Yet, in the real world, if you were a CEO and you ran your company into the ground like these guys are doing to their own organizations, you wouldn't be around. In the real world, you wouldn't keep a job.
Yeah, that asshole from GE. Fuck. Now I can't think of his name. Who was that guy? that Nardelli.
I don't know. You know,
Nardelli ran GE into the ground and did end up doing the same. It moves over to Home Depot and ends up doing the same thing.
well, you know,
And and then he gets hired at Chrysler, and guess what? They go in the toilet too.
he brings good things to death. That's a big.
I just wonder now if they're going to change. You know, one of the new names for Washington's team now might be the Witnesses.
Yeah, yeah. I
mean, maybe I wonder if that'll just get thrown in along with some of the other suggestions. God knows there's a lot of them appearing all of a sudden.
I mean, I would be all in favor with, you know, you get Baker Mayfield, you get rid of Jimmy Haslam. I mean, you know, if you get something good that might be like a cornerstone for your franchise, just get rid of the bad portion. But sports don't, you know, it's weird. I mean, imagine if you were a baseball fan, you lived in Pittsburgh. No, I mean, what do you talk about? Willie Stargell?
What about the White Sox under Comiskey?
Yeah, right. I mean,
they were a dog shit franchise for decades.
And there's organizations like the Marlins, since they won the World Series, that just sold off all of their assets and never became a meaningful team again. And they're not to be taken seriously.
And that was, once again, that was that CarMax guy.
Yeah. Why
I can't think of his name. It's he's got a Hispanic name.
Yeah, I know who. Yeah,
but anyway,
I'm blanking too.
He put all of his chips in for that one season to win, and then blew it all up as soon as December rolled.
To the bone. Cut it to the bone.
Even sold his interest in the CarMax business.
Yeah. 97, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Beckett, those guys.
That was the fastest decline in the history of any organization. I mean, even the Indians, when they had their great run under Dick Jacobs and all that, carried on some success into the beginning of the 2000s, you know? And then, you know, if teams get old, I suppose that's one thing, but I've never seen a deliberate, you know, dismantling of a World Series champion.
He got rid of everybody. Nobody was spared.
Well, that's because he went broke.
Yeah.
Wayne Huizenga, was that his name?
Huizenga, yeah.
Yeah, Wayne Huizenga. Yeah. I don't know. But it's not part of the real world. And it's what makes this so frustrating for fans is, you know, we can sit there and say Dolan's cheap and this and that, but, you know, you can't get rid of him. You can't get rid of the lying Jimmy Haslam. You can't get rid of him. Everything he touches turns to shit. It's just a fact. And you can't get rid of him. Daniel Snyder, you can't get rid of him. And I think they're trying. You know, I remember when the NBA got rid of Ted Stepien. And, you know, that got to a point where it was just utterly ridiculous. I mean, it's like they couldn't keep Stepien in there any longer. And they literally, I mean...
well, and how many owners have the Bullets/Wizards been through?
Yeah,
like just, 7 ownership groups since
like a Rolodex.
Unseld was a player.
Yeah, it's bad news, and fans only can take it for so long. And you know, I look at teams that have a history of stability. And then these teams that, you know, just jump back and forth and they have owner changes and the people who get promoted into these positions, they don't have, you know, the Cavaliers back when after Stepien. I mean, it was, you bring in Gordon Gund, but that wasn't really the thing. The thing is that they set up everything for the Cavaliers. I mean, they gave them a professional team general manager with actual real-world NBA experience, you know? I mean, and the league planted people into the organization to make sure that Gordon Gund had good people, not just people that he assigned because they were his friends and that kind of thing, but
now, wasn't he the guy that was
people.
blind?
Yeah, Gordon Gund was
Yeah.
blind, and
Yeah.
you know,
I remember his commercial.
and you know, we had some great years, and you know, and
Yeah.
I'll say this about Gordon Gund. Gordon Gund was there when we needed a good steadying influence. We got good people into position. We got a good draft. The league helped out the team because Stepien had wiped out the roster completely and agreed to making bizarre trades, and it was trying to wipe the entire franchise of all African
You let
American
they
players.
cut Mark
Campy Russell.
Price and Hot Rod Williams.
No, it was
And
Campy Russell. I mean, it was really, you know, it was Stepien's quote, if you remember. What we need is more white guys on this team. That was his quote. I mean, the league just couldn't do it anymore. So, you know, I always have a soft spot in my heart for Gordon Gund, not just because he came when he came, but he sold the team at a time when, you know,
he built a new arena.
the last 5 years.
They got out of fucking Richfield.
Of the Cavaliers under, you know, Gordon Gund was a snooze fest with, you know, Mike Fratello walking the ball up the court. I don't mean his players. I mean Fratello himself walking the ball up the court. I mean,
Occasionally dribbling. Yeah.
yeah, my God, it was boring basketball. Those were the Tyrone Hill years. And you just, you know, when Tyrone Hill's your big name, you've got real problems. No offense to Tyrone. He's a great rebounder, really great, undersized kind of rebounding guy, but not the five-star player you're looking for
No,
in the NBA.
no. You could fall asleep reading the back of his basketball card.
Yeah.
But wasn't that the group that drafted Zadrunas Ilgauskas and the other guy that
that's
ended
what
up
I
in
say.
Boston?
The thing with Gordon Gund is that the team, you know, and Fratello played a very slow game for a reason. He didn't have the athletes. He just didn't have the horses to run with the other horses in the league. And it wasn't that the team had as bad a record as what the Cavaliers would wind up having, you know, once we crossed the threshold of the 2000s. And, you know, we ended up with Darius Miles and Ricky Davis and God only knows what nonsense we ended up with in those years. You know, but he stepped down. I mean, and when the opportunity...
Chris Mills was on one of those teams, too.
Chris Mills was a good basketball player when he started.
From U of A.
Yeah, he was a good ball player, and he went out to Golden State, as I recall, but he never really became household name, you know?
Golden State ended up with a few of U of A Wildcats. They had Judd Buechler for a long time and as a backup, and they got Mills, and then they had a couple of other players, too.
Yeah. Well,
so it was a good farm system for the Golden State Warriors.
But, you know,
nice little pipeline they had.
Gund made money. He had some good years in Cleveland. The bad years, the worst you could say about Gund's years, it was dull. It was dull, and they were really maybe trying to sneak into, you know, the lowest playoff spot. And they were trying to struggle to get to 500. But I mean, it wasn't like they were like, you know, 20.
Did you mention Darius
60.
Miles?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh,
I try not to, but
yeah. Well,
man,
and Sean Kemp got fat and lazy on Gund's money.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon
hatched
Gund
out about what 12 more kids.
Yeah, Gund was a good guy, and when he sold to a guy with a lot of money, and everyone knows Dan Gilbert, not my favorite guy in the world, but Gilbert put money into the franchise, you know, like Dick Jacobs did to the Indians. Dick Jacobs would be a folk hero in Cleveland, based if you're a baseball fan. That was the only time, honestly, I mean, I can honestly tell you when I went to my high school reunion, which would have been my 20th, and I came back to Northeast Ohio, and I spent some time in Canton. I grew up in Canton. And, you know, one of the things that I did was I got tickets to the Tribe and was, you know, got to see Albert Bell hit his 50th. And it was, you know, the only time I was at Jacobs Field, the only time in my life. And I'll tell you, it was a nosebleed seat. I'll tell you, you couldn't get you know, and I had to beg, borrow, and steal from record reps in the industry in order to get the nosebleed seat. But I mean, to think that all those successive games of sellouts was what, over 4,000 games or some goofy
Yeah,
number.
it was some ridiculous number.
And,
So you were up high enough that even Albert Bell couldn't throw a ball and hit you with it, or
man, but I saw it go over the wall for his 50th, and that was his 50-50 year, 50 home runs,
Yep.
50 doubles. And, you know, it was something you wanted to watch. It was compelling because the team's offense could strike at any moment. They were never out of any game. And it actually was this close.
94 season?
That would have been 95.
95.
And, you know, that made everything so much fun. And baseball hasn't been fun in Cleveland since
not
Dick
for a
Jacobs
while.
left. Yeah, since Dick Jacobs left. And I know, yes, you're going to say, but we were in Game 7 with the Cubs that all ended up in tragedy. You know, and
hadn't rained.
yeah, and what was the boy? You know, how could I forget the guy who hit the ninth inning home run off of Chapman?
That Davis,
What was his
Raji
first-
Davis.
Yeah, Rajai Davis, right. I mean, you know, it was like he came to Cleveland just to have one big moment that wasn't enough. You know, the Indians never quite get over the threshold, and it's too bad. But, you know, if these owners were judged upon their success, they wouldn't, if they were in the restaurant business, the restaurants wouldn't be open anymore. If they were in the retail sector, they wouldn't have a storefront anymore. But we go on and on and on. We have to support this shit. And it's too bad. And the other thing is Eric Bledsoe of the Bucks. He tested positive for coronavirus. He hasn't joined his team yet. Not that Eric Bledsoe is, you know, the greatest player in the world, but a guy who's really tried to fight his way back in the league since he was a player. You know, Bledsoe was what, the Suns? Was he a Suns player?
I think he played there for a
Who?
while. Yeah,
Who?
Eric
Eric
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe. He played with Arizona,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah,
he-
he played in Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, but then he was not a player anymore. And when he made a stop off in Cleveland, did he not?
Maybe
it
as a
seems-
backup. Did he
Yeah.
replace? Did he replace? I think it was Snow.
No, I mean Bledsoe was a guy who, you know, he lost his. No, that wasn't Eric Bledsoe, but it was somebody in the Cavaliers recently who lost his first step. You know, and it's very difficult when players get older and they lose that first step. But yeah, another person, just another nail in the coffin, as the NBA bubble. You know, people aren't even making it to the bubble right now. And I was really sad to read that, you know, I don't know, some things break my heart. Danica Patrick said, "Just go, Daddy," to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's a sad.
Girl, don't go away, man. Girl, just go away.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, so much for that relationship, which I guess that was 2 years. That was the deal. And I can't pull up the story. I think they dropped it off of ESPN, you know? I think they
What?
just said it. Their breakup, you know,
Oh,
after 2 years.
you'll find it. You should look at People or Us Weekly or one of the other rags. They'll have all the fucking juicy details.
And of course, you know, our guy, Miles.
Hell, it
Garrett,
might even be in the National Enquirer.
you know,
They could somehow tie him in with an alien or something like that. Yeah.
Hammer Time sent
At
me-
times, Danica Patrick is like an alien.
Yeah, Hammer Time sent me a little funny haha that I'd also read. The meme that's going around on the internet. Miles Garrett signed for so much money that it was. I think they said that he could hit Mason Rudolph over 2,000 more times and not
Yeah.
be affected by it.
Well, heck, he could probably hire somebody to hit Mason Rudolph. He wouldn't have to be there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's you know,
The best meme on Twitter was they did a take on the here's Johnny, where instead of the axe blade coming through the door, it's Mason Rudolph's helmet, and they put Mason Rudolph's head on. Oh shit, what was her name?
Shelley Duvall.
Yes,
Alias Olive Oil.
yes.
I try to take that movie out of my mind
Ugh.
completely. I mean, what
That's
a bombardero.
Not a top 10 flick.
No, and I could barely.
But that was deep into the cocaine years for Robin Williams, so.
Obviously so.
Yeah, there wasn't spinach in those cans, I'm sure.
You know, I asked a question a couple of shows ago. It's like, you know, we were talking about the Indians outfield. Last show was Delano DeShields, you know, getting COVID and what's going to be in our outfield. And Luplow is a guy who is nursing.
I thought he was on
shoulder.
second.
Yeah,
No, that's who's on first. No, that's what. What's on second?
You know, and I asked about Bradley Zimmer because I wasn't hearing shit. Well, Bradley Zimmer has hit 4 home runs in 3 games. Now, this doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot because he's hitting them off his own pitchers.
Oops. That
I
doesn't
mean-
speak well for us.
Can you imagine? He hit a 2-run homer off Logan Allen in the 4th inning. Logan fucking Allen. Do you know Logan Allen is a left-handed pitcher? And Zimmer hit a 2-run. I mean,
Not to be
Zimmer
confused by Ethan Allen, boys and
No.
girls. That's a furniture store.
or Woody Allen. You know,
I have a very nasty curveball.
Alan and Rossi.
yeah. I mean, he's supposed to be a guy who gets left-handers out, and Zimmer can't hit left-handers. He had a 2-run homer off Logan Allen. That makes me feel really good. But the big story in this was that Carrasco pitched, allowed 3 runs on 6 hits, struck out 5, had good control, only walked 1, and he hit 2 batters intentionally in 86 pitches. So he, you know, and they're going to keep him around 85 on a pitch count. But you know, good for him to stretch out and get 5 innings worth of work.
I give it an 82, but I really can't dance to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Carrasco obviously was not around the strike zone. I mean, in 5 innings, 86 pitches is a lot of pitches, and you know, so. But you know, But the thing about Zimmer, it's interesting. I don't know. Really, this is a guy who. I just don't think he's ever going to be a contact guy, you know. And 2 of these 4 home runs that he's hit in 3 games have been opposite field. I mean, he has tremendous bat speed. But Rick, you remember you saw him when he got off to a nice start, and then everything went to hell in a handbasket. Do you remember what the Achilles heel was on him?
I don't know. So many outfielders have come and gone since then. It's hard to keep track of them.
I'm trying to remember, you know, if it was a breaking ball issue that he was having trouble, whether he
Bantu helped me hit it curveball.
But they sent him down. I mean, long before he got hurt playing in the minor leagues, they sent him down because he had lost all of his confidence, and he was striking out over 40% of the time he came up to home plate. And was just not making contact, was not driving runs in. And the thing is, great arm, incredible speed, covers an incredible amount of ground in center field. I mean, and you're looking at Delino DeShields Jr., for God's sakes. If I'm going to have a guy who hits 220, which so be it, I'd rather have the guy who can hit it out of the park than, you know, and honestly, at 6'5" and 230 pounds, Bradley Zimmer is faster than Delino DeShields Jr.
Yeah.
So, you know, it would seem like every opportunity should be there for him, but he just started looking more and more like Russell Branyan. as far as just, you know, trying to hit everything out of the park. And then he was dicking around with his swing. And I think that, you know, who was the guy, Rick? Kingman.
Dave Kingman?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's boomer bust for him. I mean, you're either going to get some monstrous home run moonshot or you're going to get a strikeout from him.
I mean, this guy was struggling to make the Mendoza line, but he was hitting 40 home runs in a year. That was really kind of like Russell Brandon. But can you
And
really?
Rob Deere, he used to do that for the
Rob Deere, yeah.
Brouhahas.
Yeah, I mean, but
He'd hit 227 with 27 or 28 home runs.
But the thing was, is that Zimmer wasn't hitting home runs. He was hitting like some gap doubles, and he was stretching balls into the gap into doubles, but he wasn't hitting them out of the park at all on a consistent level, and wasn't making contact either.
He said he hit 2 home runs opposite field. Doesn't sound like he's got his bat speed up there, because otherwise he'd be, you know, if all he hit was right-handed, you think he'd be pulling some of those into the right field stands. Sounds like I don't know, losing bat speed, or
who?
he got cool.
Zimmer's only a left-handed hitter. He's not a switch hitter.
Yeah. So if you're only facing
but there are some guys that only have power to the opposite field.
Well, I mean, there are guys like Jim Thome who could hit them out anywhere. If you're a left-hander and you can hit it out to the oppo, I mean, you can hit it out anywhere at Progressive Field.
His rookie season, they were playing at home, and a friend of mine was over, and we were watching the game. I said, "Hey, it'd be great if Jim Thome would hit it right about here in the right field stands." And sure, 2 pitches later, he cranks one right there.
Well, I mean, the stories are legendary about Thome. I mean, fans would climb into the shit seats, and they figure, well, we got as good a chance of getting a ball out here if Thome's playing, because he can hit it that far. So, yeah, I'll tell you, there are some players who are just, in my mind, cursed. And Yasiel Puig will always, in my mind, be a guy who nobody will ever be able to figure out. You saw him in Cleveland last season, and he hit 297 for the Indians, okay? I mean, we saw the best Yasiel Puig you were going to see. I mean, he was a disaster for the Reds. Before that, with the Dodgers, he really flashed. And, you know, huge arm, really good power, but just not consistent, and mentally not all there all the time. I mean, a guy who started a horrendous fight that chased him out of Cincinnati, and who was laconic, that would be the nicest way of putting it, when he was playing for the Dodgers. Well, just yesterday they reported that he was going to be a free agent with the Atlanta Braves. However, he's just tested positive for COVID. And the deal had been contingent on Puig's testing negative, so now the deal's off. So
at least for now.
Well, for now. But I mean, this guy, when I saw him playing in Los Angeles and that rocket arm he's got, you know, I was all for the Indians getting him for half a season as a rental. You know, I wanted to see what the guy could do, and I knew he wasn't going to come back to Cleveland. And, you know, he hit 267 in 149 games last year, but he hit 297 after he joined the Indians. So that's, you know, so he did what he was supposed to do, but it didn't lead to any really good offers because, quite honestly, he's mentally erratic. And it's just some players, it seems like, what is it that they always say?
Yeah, but Bobby Bonds was that way.
You know, their individual components are greater than, you know,
some of their parts.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's something that is missing, and I think it's up here with Yasiel Puig. But guy definitely is a major league talent, and he
Bell was that way.
He kind of reminded me of Albert Bell in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That was just kind of erratic. The thing about Albert was if you could focus him in a direction, and unfortunately with Albert, he get too focused. He got to the point where he focused on exercise and stretching so much, he stretched his entire hip joint into, a permanent arthritic condition. Um, when he was chasing women, he became a stalker. I mean, he was focused, but when he was focused on pitchers, he would chart out pitchers' games. I mean, he knew what he was doing up there.
Yeah.
And he was, you're not going to find too many guys in today's game who could hit 50 home runs and hit 300 for a season. This guy made
Somebody
contact.
said he kept index cards and he kept
Yeah.
stats on every pitcher he faced, what pitch they threw, when they threw it, and he had like his own little library down in his locker with all these different pitchers, and he knew, going into the game, he knew, what he was going to be facing.
Yeah, and he also threw balls at fans' chests. So, I mean,
Yeah, well, to be fair, they did say some very unkind things. So
Unpleasant, yeah.
well, he was unpleasant. I mean, quite honestly, all the people I know who are in the press who dealt with him, had stories about him that were just, those Indians locker rooms in those days with Kenny Lofton and what was going on in the clubhouse was crazy shit, literally crazy shit.
Yeah.
And,
I
that
suppose-
Jimmy
yeah,
Holy-
almost 85, 86 Mets like.
right. With
I'm
Strawberry
sure
and
people
Goodman,
tried
yeah.
to interview him probably did so at their own peril.
Yeah, when I see that Yasiel Puig lost his deal, and it's like you wonder if something's going to come up in the interim for the Braves. I mean, he may be on his last legs. At 29 years of age, Puig may be on the verge of playing himself out of Major League Baseball, which is just really a shame because it really could have been so much more for that player. Well, at any rate, we've made it through our hour, and and it was nice to be back on StreamYard. And I've had a few people ask me, no, Charlie Spikes was the Bogalusa bomber. Don't remind me of Charlie Spikes, Captain Crabclaw. That guy couldn't catch a ball. My God, if he was jerking off, he couldn't grab a ball. I don't know what the hell, What was I gonna say? I just saw the Bogalusa bomber out of the corner of my eyes. Like,
You're going to talk about StreamYard or something.
it's nice being back on StreamYard, and I'm able to post now where the show's going to be well in advance. So hours and hours before the show, you'll be able to know where it's going to be. And people are asking me, what happens if sports go away? What's going to happen to this podcast? And you know something? I don't know the answer to that question because at some point in time there will be sports again.
And the beat goes on.
Yeah, I
We're
don't
going to
know.
hear heated discussions about cornhole tournaments.
Land
We
of
could We
confusion.
could thumb wrestle for people's
Yeah.
entertainment.
16 years of doing this podcast and, putting it down, I don't know if I would want to do that. But it is a sobering thought. But I'd say that you're really looking at in my mind, a greater than 50% chance that there just isn't going to be any sports this year. And, maybe we'll figure out an alternate, and it won't be political. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to do a political program.
We're gonna do pinball.
Yeah.
Pinball wizard playing in the background.
You know
Hey,
what I'm
how
going
about
to do?
that Uno tournament in Wisconsin?
No, maybe, I'm wondering, maybe we can stream Rox and I playing GTA 5 online. And just blowing
Rod
everything
Laver
up.
highlights.
Yeah.
That was my mom's favorite tennis player, Crumbly,
So,
because he was a lefty.
Well, we can do the cornhole tournaments. We can comment about the golf tournament over the weekend.
yeah, and I was going to
Bork.
say that Tiger Woods was complaining.
You'll have to dig Bork out of his hole there, Ams.
Well, Tiger Woods was complaining after his round today that when he was, on the driving range, that his back seized up on him, and
The,
this
the
is
other
something.
the other caddies were throwing grapefruits at his feet.
No, I mean, this is for him. I mean, people say, "Oh, it's amazing that he could come back and win a major." It's not amazing, folks. I mean, it's beyond amazing. It's like almost impossible what he did. But when you end up with a total back fusion at his age, and you're calling on your body to play golf, which is probably amongst the hardest of all sports, and I know my back is just shot to shit. You cannot do, he's being asked to do something at such an elite level. How are you going to do it? And his back tightened up, and he just couldn't hit fairways today. And he only hit 10 fairways in regulation today. He was constantly playing out of trouble. He shot a 76, and I don't know if he's missed the cut, but they were saying that he was one stroke above the cut as of this afternoon, and that's the Memorial Tournament, just like that. But what Tiger said afterwards, I found was interesting, and it's something that only a person with severe back problems would understand. He said, there was a time when it was practice and being sharp. Now it's just trying to get ready to go out and play. It isn't that I put in the time of preparation. It's the preparation that I put in just to be able to play through the weekend. And the reason this resonates with me, I remember when my knee was shot and I was playing tennis, I couldn't, it was, I can't explain it any other way. It was like I was doing all the icing, all of the things that you do, and all of the warming up beforehand and the warming down afterwards. I'd play an hour and a half of tennis, and it would take me an hour pre-ritual and an hour post-ritual. It was 3.5 hours just to play recreational tennis. And I understand what he's saying. You can't really get better. It's impossible to get better when you're not practicing. And Tiger Woods is just doing what he can to keep his body healthy enough to be able to stay in a tournament through the weekend and to play 4 rounds of golf. And he can't do it every week like he used to do, and he has to pick and choose his events. So, and once it starts, once the inflammation starts in your back, you're fucked. You're not going to be able to perform. So, as great as he's been, you can't expect a whole hell of a lot more. So he may not be around after today in this tournament. And the Memorial, that's Jack Nicklaus's tournament, is something that I think Tiger's never missed the cut after 2 rounds in this tournament. I think they said for the however many times he's played it, he never missed the cut there, which is really too bad. And before Crembly Q keeps making all kinds of Ben Gay references, and that's not the warming pain reliever, that's the running back for the Cleveland Browns, who I swear to God, that is another guy that should have had a career, but was his own worst enemy. I mean, he was had serious talent, but. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. We will be back again. I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet. We will be back again on Monday, as we always are. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
All right. See everybody.